Welcome back to another episode of Box Banter. I'm joined by our host, Raymond.
What's up?
Not a lot. We're here to talk about news, random things that we see pop up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, since there's nothing else to talk about.
Is that so?
That is so.
I hope you brought, plenty of news articles with you and, stories. I hope you've been taking notes.
Mental notes.
Mental notes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that basically translates to I did fuck all.
Yes.
And I've just turned up and I'm just going to
Correct, yes.
send it.
Yeah, that's right. It's what the media crammed down my throat, is what I got.
Yeah.
So all the hot stories, that probably means something that they squashed. Didn't get any of that. It's just what they allowed to leak through.
Look, I mean, there's so many different ways you can get your Formula One news. There's so many F1 has-beens that have like little podcasts and media channels and stuff. But you kind of get a sense that all of them are, having to be supportive.
They got to stay in a box.
Yeah.
They have to stay in a box. Yeah.
There. And everyone seems to be supportive of these new regs.
Yeah.
So then you just kind of look around and you're like, what's really going on around here?
I think it's clear.
That's why the Formula One world needs us to cut through the bullshit.
Yeah.
And tell it how it is.
Say it how we see it, right or wrong. But we have to stay inside a box because there are no checks coming in. No checks coming in for us to stay in a box.
No.
We're not selling out. Not yet.
Yeah, I look forward to that first $20 check from YouTube or Spotify.
And then send us the box and we'll...
Man, that's almost going to get us like a 6-pack of beers.
I know, and then we can stop doubling up on beers week to week.
Hey, the economy is tight, all right? You see the price of fuel? The
price of diesel. Oh boy.
Beers are probably actually going to go up, so we might have to share a beer soon.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, you would, you weirdo.
Yeah. Take less of the edge off.
So assuming that you don't have anything, prepared off the cuff, ready to go, I will direct us into the first patch note.
Yeah, do so.
So, Verstappen at the Nurburgring.
Yeah.
Now, did you watch any of the race that he featured in, the GT3?
No, I did not.
Any particular reason? Not interested? Couldn't care?
Definitely
don't know
not interested. I do love motorsport and I do like GTs. They come to Bathurst every year and I do sit there and watch all 12 hours of that. But...
What, you got something against the Nurburgring? That's one of the most iconic tracks in the world.
It is the most iconic track in the world.
Arguably.
How was the coverage? I mean, what did you watch? Wasn't it, from what I understand, or from what you might have told me, was it just like a YouTube live of Max's car?
No.
Or was it actually commentated, multiple cars? Because I just don't know how well... The Nürburgring, she's a big track. She's a big girl.
Takes about 7.5 minutes to get around.
Yeah. How do they televise every section of this track?
So there's one section down the back that does drop out.
Yeah.
And it gets real stuttery.
Yeah.
And the stream that I was watching, which was the Redline Sim stream. So I think that's the crew that does sim racing with Verstappen.
Okay.
Yep. They were very adamant every lap. All right, guys, just a reminder, this is the part of the track where there's not really any kind of connection.
Yeah.
This is not us. It's not us.
Yeah.
It's the Nürburgring.
Yeah. It's Germany and the fact that this track is, stupid long.
But interesting you asked me that because so YouTube had 2 live streams, a German stream and an English stream.
Right.
And then I predominantly watched the Redline Sim stream, which was on Twitch. And I quite enjoyed that because I liked the live chat element, even though it was just going at 1,000 miles an hour and you couldn't see shit.
Was that who was engaging with them?
So they had 2 of their sim drivers, I guess, commentating.
Yeah, okay.
But, they're eating pizza and and they're squealing and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So very different experience to watching
to the
motorsport.
normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they had a dedicated camera, in-car camera for Verstappen. Yeah. So they had the main Verstappen feed and then they had the live
So what happened
coverage
when
feed as well.
Max was out of the car and the other 2, nobody's jumped in?
So they did a vote on whether you wanted to switch to the mainstream, so that would just cover the whole event, or stay...
Those 2 drivers must be like, I'm pretty good too.
Well, or stay in cockpit. Yeah. And overwhelmingly, it was voted to stay in cockpit. So the next driver up, his name was Danny something. And everyone wanted to stay in the cockpit.
Makes sense. I mean, you can flip to the English or the German if you will.
Well, that was on different servers, yes.
Yeah, but I'm sure all these people, these diehards. I mean, were you flipping between? Did you have two screens?
No. So I was just seeing where I wanted to watch that coverage.
Yeah.
And I was just seeing where they were live. And so...
I mean, I'm sure the YouTube coverage mostly showed Max anyway. Because again...
Well, yeah.
This is, from what I understand, this series that Max is racing in is they only race at the Nurburgring. That's it. That's all they do.
Getting that feeling. Because I think they asked him if he wanted to do the 24-hour race at Nurburgring. And I think that falls somewhere in May or June. And he wants to do it.
I'm sure he's petitioning to bring it to April. What else is he going to do?
Yeah, I know, yeah. He's like, can we just scoot it up a bit? Obviously, yeah, the F1 calendar permitting. But real quick, on the coverage, I didn't realise until after the race that Sky Sports also did a live coverage on YouTube of it, which gained something like 1.5 million viewers. So it was like, interesting that Sky Sports, who, as we know, are very heavily affiliated with Formula One, were happy to promote Verstappen and his side quest in a different racing category, especially when he's been extremely vocal about his dislike of Formula One and the new regulations.
Doesn't bother Sky.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if there's a dollar to be made, they're going to be there. But I thought it's almost like a conflict of interest. You know, like Formula One's their main sport.
But again, like you said, there's a dollar to be made. All they're there to do is coverage it.
Yeah,
they got no say or care for what happens in the sport. They're just there to cover it. Yeah, it's funny. I watched. It's like NASCAR. They got
every week.
Yeah,
you got to slip it in.
So they got NASCAR. They got the O'Reilly series. And they got the trucks. They don't show, at least here in Australia, you can't see the trucks race. They don't televise the trucks anyway. You have no choice. Cletus McFarland, you familiar with him?
I am not, but YouTuber. I love the name. That is a hilarious name.
Stage name.
Yep.
He's a YouTuber, just a car buffoon in America. Anyway, NASCAR, because he's a YouTuber, NASCAR on their YouTube did live streams at Daytona with him in his car and Tony Stewart, who you probably aren't familiar with him either. He's like 3-time NASCAR champion. He's great.
Well, I don't watch NASCAR, so continue.
But yeah, these are the only live streams I've watched of racing because I was like, I want to watch it. It was the first NASCAR race of the year, so I'm like, I'm keen to watch it, and that was the only way of watching it. Cletus crashed in 6 laps. And they just shut the stream down.
Yeah,
and he was killing it with the views. I can't remember how many views he had, but was like
a case of like the server was overloaded or something.
No, it was like he crashed his car.
Oh, okay.
And then Phil was like, that's it. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
But
so almost like us with the last 2 races with Piastri. Let's live stream and watch together, guys.
Yeah, then shut it down.
Let's call it quits.
But it was interesting. Tony Stewart, NASCAR legend, coming back for one last hurrah, whatever. He had maybe 3,000 views, live views of his coverage. The Cletus, just a YouTuber, not a racer, he had hundreds of thousands of views on his live stream.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
And I was one of them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the only live stream race I've watched. I just find them hard to watch because it's the same thing. It's just in-car on that. And you got the live chat, but in that case, there was no moderators or anything.
I quite enjoyed it because I liked the in-car view and seeing like just how calm and casual Verstappen is, especially even in the moments where he's threading through traffic. He just makes it look easy. And we don't get the F1 TV app or Sky Sports, so we don't even get the option to watch Formula One in car.
Yeah, true.
You have that whole thing, pick your driver and follow.
Press the red button on your Sky TV remote.
Yeah, we all know that. So we don't get that here in Australia. So it's just a different perspective. But I like what they did essentially was screen and screen, so you could watch Verstappen in cockpit, but you could still see the live feed of the race as well. So
how long was Max? So the race went for 4. So how long was Max in the car?
He did 2 stints, the first hour and the last hour, so about 2 hours. Half.
So everyone was starting the end of a race.
Yeah, so it was a little bit tough here in Australia because the first hour was excellent timing, so it's great. You got to qualifying was at a decent time because they qualify on the same day.
Yeah,
and then got to watch Max do the first stint, and then Danny got in the car, and that's when I was like, all right, I'll probably go to bed now. And that was kind of pushing around midnight. So knowing that you probably won't get to see Max get back into the car until like 2 a.m. or something.
So you texted me. Did you not text me at like 10 a.m.? Or was that like 10 p.m. and I just missed it completely?
Correct.
10 p.m.
10 p.m. Yeah.
Because when you sent me that text, and then I jumped on Facebook and I'd seen results and stuff, and I was like, Huh?
I was driving to work I was confused, and then of course you were talking about the NASCAR as well, which I couldn't care less. And that's where I clicked. Okay, you've obviously missed my Verstappen text the night before.
I thought you sent that through at 10 a.m.
No.
So I was like, because then I sort of texted the end result, and then I was like, wait, that's dog. If you've just basically told me you've just sat down to watch this.
Well, yeah, I saw that.
That's why I deleted it.
I saw you had deleted it. So yeah, the message was basically in the lines of sitting down to watch Verstappen getting his only win this year.
Yeah.
And then, as we now know, he had that win revoked. So,
and Max loves getting things revoked on stupid little rules that have nothing to do with driving the car.
Yeah, nothing to do with him. Wasn't any sort of mistake by his part.
The car. Politics.
So, I don't really care for talking about the disqualification because I don't really know enough about GT3. But keeping it on Max, I think it was really enjoyable to watch him pushing the limits of a car. And especially on a track like that, where it was blowing my mind. And several times during the stream, I'm like, why can't F1 be like this? There was so much action. There was so many great battles. And obviously, they're threading through traffic. Yeah. There's no yellow flags, move over.
Blue
flags, move over, slow cars ahead, any of this shit. It's just, you got to make your way through it.
Exactly.
And there's a level of respect with those slower drivers that they indicate to let them know which side of the track they're going to move on to and whatever.
Normally it's a case of the car being lapped, keep your racing line. It's up to the car behind to be predictable, stay on the race line, be predictable.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to be a little bit of both, but, made it very interesting because he lost the lead. So he set pole, he lost the lead pretty early on. I think it was like lap 1 or lap 2.
With him in the car?
Yeah, because he was versing an Audi, and the Audi was way quicker on a straight line. So he just overtook him on that, sort of long straight at the back end of the lap.
Yeah. The long straight.
And then he struggled to get past it. But, they had this epic battle through traffic for 6-7 laps where he just kept the pressure on this dude. I don't know who was in the Audi, but he kept the pressure on him. And
that's the thing. It's a bunch of nobodies in the other cars.
There were so many near misses and so many, sketchy moments. And it was like, how is this allowed? There's trucks on the course, removing crashed cars. And they're still, they have this caution where they're going to pull the speed down to 60, wait till the next signal box, and then you can speed off. But they're all opportunities to try and get a jump on each other and try and make moves and stuff.
I never thought about that, because you can't just pull a safety car to the Nurburgring and wait 7 minutes for them to catch up to you, and then how long does it take to do a lap under safety car speed? So I've never actually wondered how they navigate that, but that's interesting.
It's a little bit wild.
Yeah.
And then he eventually pipped him on that same straight. Right before they pit. So he just got the lead back and then dove into the pits and handed the car over. They went on from there. But the level of racing was exceptional. It was really entertaining, and it was definitely a more enjoyable watch than the last 2 Formula 1 races.
Sounds to me, having not watched that race at all or seen anything about it, sounds to me like Max is a smart little bugger and he was just sitting by himself in fuel.
Possibly. I think first time I watched it last time he was there, so I'm starting to get my head around it a little bit more.
But he wasn't in a GT3 last time.
No, he was in a Ferrari.
Yeah, but it was not GT3, right? Because he hadn't. That was the race he had to do to get.
That was GT3. Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So he did another one before that as well, which was in a lower category.
Yeah.
But
he's doing anything to not drive a Ford, that guy.
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't blame him at this stage. But from what I understand, that Mercedes AMG was too overpowered that they had to detune it or put extra weight in it to make it fair, and that basically seemed to make it pretty level with the Audi, but the Audi had more straight line speed. That's the whole thing. They
work on balance of performance, those GT3 cars. So they engines make varying amounts of horsepower, weights, do whatever you want, but then they balance them all out in different ways, and that's where you get a little bit faster down a straight. But then you make it up elsewhere, and they should theoretically come out about the same. And then they nullify generally anyway. They nullify any advantage in the pit stops. You have a time to pit stop.
3 minutes.
No matter what you do, you have a time to pit stop. Driver changes separate from the fuel separate from the tires. That stuff sucks when you talk about the pure racing factor. But then the pit stops and lack of strategy, I think, hurts that category a bit.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I don't. There's obviously some sort of reasoning behind it.
It's just for that reason. You don't, a lot of these are just rich guys who just they just want to race. They're not pros, so they don't have a pro pit team, and you don't want Ferrari coming in and they've got a great well-trained pit stop crew who do nothing but, practice all year and they get paid to do it. And then you got the random millionaires who rock up, who have their weekend guys rock up and
apparently Verstappen's team can't count sets of tyres because they used an extra set in qualifying, which is what got them the DQ. Yeah. So, but it's interesting. It does make me really think, like, what does F1 think about this? I mean, I've said it before. I think Verstappen is the world's greatest driver on the planet Earth now.
He's voted that.
And, you see these photos of him at Nurburgring just surrounded by people. He has this... People understand that they're in the presence of greatness and they're witnessing someone who's truly talented at what he does. And it's not too dissimilar to, Lewis Hamilton having his run of dominance and Michael Schumacher back in the 90s and having his run of dominance. And these people transcend the sport to a degree where everyone knows... People who don't watch F1 know who Max Verstappen is. Yeah. He's bigger than the sport. So then when he takes his talents to another motor racing category, it just makes you... I think it just discredits Formula One even more, especially today with these regulations. The coverage is just making just jokes non-stop at Formula One's expense about lifting and coasting and, battery management and how none of that is in this category at all. And, when Max wins, he gets out of the car and the first thing that the interviewer asks him is something about Mario Kart. And, did he put some time on Mario Kart to get used to everything, And he just has like a cheeky smile because he agrees. He's been saying this stuff, and then he had this opportunity to run these real pure racing cars where there is no management, there is no lifting and coasting. It's just full throttle, pedal to the floor stuff, and it was really exciting. So
I wonder how much he enjoys it because those cars also have traction control and ABS. So you're not driving the car. You've got a lot of aids
naturally,
but you got to. Yeah, we spoke about this last week. If Max goes, the sport's in trouble. And then, because very quickly, you're Alonso and Hamilton go, and then who do you have left? Formula One are in trouble if he leaves. And I feel like, of everyone who, Lewis at the end of 21, will he, won't he? You knew he wasn't going to leave. Max, I feel like...
See, but that's a little bit different.
He's at that age where he can pivot and have a full career still.
Oh, yeah.
He can be a 4-time Formula One world champion. Mm-hmm. He could go do something else, anything else. He could go join the World Endurance Championship and be a multiple-time champion in that racing league. The GT3 things, it's nice, but it's not like he's way too big to just... He couldn't go and just be a GT3 racer full-time unless he just enjoys it. But it's nowhere near big enough for him. He needs something bigger than that.
Well, that's why he only does one, potentially two races a year.
Yeah. So, as far as pivot goes, it's got to be, we saw, your boy Valentino, he does GT3 and you never hear about him. You know what I mean? The sport's not big enough for a character like him. So he needs to do, if he wants to pivot, it needs to be, world endurance championship stuff.
Do it before they've gone to rally or they've gone to Indy or whatever. So, you're right. But it's a little bit different to the Hamilton situation because Hamilton, you get a sense that he feels like he's owed a championship. He feels like he should have been an 8-time world champion. He should just be unquestionably the greatest to ever do it. And you get the sense that that's what's driving him. That's what's keep pushing him. I mean, his career has taken a different trajectory to Alonso in this back end of it. He hasn't gone, or even Michael Schumacher, he hasn't gone and helped a lower team to try and come up. He's looking for who's going to give him the best car to win a championship. Yeah. He's not looking at just holding a seat, grabbing a paycheck, and just trying to get other little stats and records. He wants a championship. Yeah. Max is a little bit different because he is still very much in his prime. And to be fair, he's kind of more at the beginning of his prime. Most drivers don't win championships until their late 20s or early 30s when they've got enough experience and maturity in them and then landed in the right team. He's already ripped off 4. Yeah. If he stays in Formula One and has the car to do it, he could definitely rival those two names.
Oh, God,
if he's disinterested in the sport, he could definitely go and find success elsewhere.
Well,
whether he would dominate that sport, we don't know.
How much weight would he put on winning this year's or next year's World Championship or any championship in these regs where, again, you're not driving at the edge of your performance? I mean, does he look at himself and think, I'm losing my natural ability now that I'm not rocking up every weekend and pushing the limits of the car?
Well, he has to be. Surely.
You're no longer doing that week in and week out. Do you just get a sense of, I'm losing my natural ability? Am I going to get... If they change the regs, in 3 years, would it benefit a driver like him or any of these drivers? Because they've gone from, you take the risk out, you're no longer pushing 10/10ths, to then back to you need to hit your latest possible braking mark after being at the peak speed of the corner. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you go back to his early career, he was kind of known as Verstappen. He was a driver who liked to push the limits, who liked to take the risk, and it kept having a negative effect on him. And then he eventually sorted that out, didn't he? Eventually he realised, some battles you have to just let go. And I think that's what positioned him in 2021 to win the World Championship in the end. But if you look at that season, there were moments where he didn't do the silly thing and just crash out. He remained patient. If he took a loss, that's fine. As long as I collect the points, move on to the next round and try and strike back. So he's a driver who likes to push the limits and be on the edge. And he got to a point where he then had the maturity and the experience, and he knew how to put a season together on top of that. Which that's a lethal combination. That is a world championship combination, and now that's kind of been taken away from him. Now it's a whole different game, and he doesn't seem overly interested. I mean, he's contracted to Red Bull for 2028. If he wants to stay for Formula One, he's got no choice, right?
Yeah,
he's going to have to adapt his style, especially if he wants to try and win something.
Even if he races for Mercedes, it's a better car, but you still have to employ the same tactics to drive the car. So if he's not enjoying the way these cars drive and what you have to do to race him, it's not going to change. He'll get better starts if he's on a Red Bull. But the way you have to drive the car and be more of a conservationist than a performer, it's not going to change, no matter where he goes.
No. All right. So
this could be the regs. This will end up being known as the regs that killed off Alonso, killed off Hamilton, killed off Verstappen from the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean...
And possibly more.
Yeah, it's going to be dicey for Formula One moving over these next few years. If they don't rapidly develop these cars and kind of get it back to a level of performance where what we were used to in these last few years, I think that the sport is going to suffer quite badly for it.
Max said himself, and drivers say whatever they want to say, but he said himself, at the end of the day, when you retire, I can't remember what his words were, when you retire or when you're dead, whatever he said, who cares if you're a 4-time or a 7-time world champ? And I believe him when he says that. I believe him. If Lewis came out and said, it's 7, it's 7 or 8, what's the difference? I wouldn't believe him. But for some reason, when Max says it, 4, 7, it's like, I get what he means. He is literally he rocked up. The proof's in the pudding. We saw what he did through since 2021 until last year or the year before. That's all you need. Yeah. And you know why he didn't win others. Lewis Hamilton, you could say, could have won in 2016 and he outbeaten by his teammate. Could have won in 2021, beaten by Max. Max never got beaten.
No. It's in a way that 2021 season for me is almost like the pinnacle of F1.
Yeah.
Everything kind of just clicked there where you had the old head.
Every millisecond mattered in that championship.
I go back every now and then and I just watch recaps and highlights and I'm just I can remember exactly where I was watching it. I remember things that we talked about and texted, it was just, to me, that was everything kind of just meshed perfectly right then and there. And then obviously the regs changed and it started to go into...
It hasn't been, and they said themselves, Formula 1 said themselves, don't be expecting a championship like that again.
No.
Ever.
No. I think we were incredibly lucky that we got to witness that live and we got to see that epic battle between Hamilton and Verstappen that literally started from round 1 and took us right up to the very lap of round 20, whatever it was. So
and there's so many big moments too. Like, don't have to recap that entire season, but there was the Silverstone crash. There was the Monza crash, which led to Danny Rick's last win. There's
the Hamilton taking the new
new engine, and then the last 3 races, and then that was the first year of the sprints, and then the way they altered the championship, extra more points on the table, and then that was what set the grid for the Grand Prix, which is different now. Yeah,
I forgot they did that.
Like that, yeah.
Anyway, we've spoken about Verstappen for a solid 25 minutes, and we've got a few other news articles that we want to cover, so we have to move on.
Speedrun.
So the next big one is obviously Jonathan Wheatley leaving Audi.
Yep.
So this is quite a surprise. This sort of came out of nowhere, I feel.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think so. You watched Drive to Survive, I watched that episode and a half.
The trailer.
Yeah, and we spoke about him. He come out as a character. All we knew him as was the Red Bull guy who spoke to bloody Michael Massey. That's all he was known as.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's got his own slot on Drive to Survive. He seems to be coming into his own, which I'm sure will continue. But you felt like he was pretty... I mean, they say this was always the plan, but you felt like he'd found somewhere.
He seemed to suit that team really well. And the team, I think, did a good job in securing him, or at least seemingly so. But we know that F1 changed these regulations to cater for Audi.
Yeah.
So everything is kind of there for them to have success, if not this year, potentially next year or the year after.
Yeah.
So it seems like a bit of a risk on his part to drop, and we've already seen from 2 races, they look pretty solid.
They look better than us.
They do. So you got to wonder, is he just chasing money, or is it that Red Bull connection?
I reckon this is a long-term deal. I reckon this was something that was somehow hidden from us and the media and the press, because Mattia Binotto, you don't go back from being a team manager. He was a team manager at Ferrari, and then he goes to Sauber as running the head of Audi project. It's a no-brainer that he ends up being the team manager at Audi. No-brainer.
Yep.
I think the fact that they had Mattia there, and the fact that Audi's off to a good start, and Jonathan Wheatley's now jumping ship to a far worse team or far less promising team, I think I reckon this was all orchestrated. And there's obviously some timings I had to wait for.
So, hey, are you saying all parties were privy to this?
Yes.
Or?
Why else was Adrian Newey the head designer of the car and the team principal and a co-owner? Why was all this necessary? And then, like I said, having Mattia Binotto it's like the Flavio. Oh, well, I'm here as the next team principal, someone who knows exactly what's going on. I might as well slip into this role. And then, like you said, why would Jonathan Wheatley make the decision to leave Audi, which is always going to succeed some way or another?
Yeah.
Whether what success is, whether it's winning championships or being a front runner or contender, or just consistently...
Or just best of the rest.
In the points, like a Ferrari, right? That's pretty well successful. Like, they're going to be that. At some point, they will be that. That's a sure thing. Aston Martin's not a sure thing.
No.
Never has been, never will be.
No.
Why would you make that? I feel like this was all already happening, and there was just some timing things that they had to wait for.
Right. Okay. So that's an interesting take. I haven't even heard anything like that. I've heard a couple things like
I can have my own
they're
takes
based in. Okay. All right. This is why I have you here on the pod, right?
Okay.
I've heard some things like Aston Martin's based closer to home for him, so there's like that, which I don't think I believe that.
You
for a
don't
second.
travel. You don't join Formula One expecting to be home a hell of a lot.
No, no. And then obviously we know that how the Strolls deal with issues is they just throw money at it. And
which is not...
If they're going to throw money at anyone, I'm surprised that they would throw it at Jonathan Wheatley when you still have plenty of other candidates out there, right?
Well,
including
Christian,
Horner.
Yeah, if you think of Christian, I think the same issue that I said last year about Christian and Flavio is Lawrence Stroll is going to want things done a certain way. Christian Horner is going to want things done a certain way. Lawrence Stroll has the money and the stature.
That's all well and good
in the team, but Christian...
That's all well and good, but Aston Martin have had no success since the Strolls took over that team.
That's going to change?
They've had 15 different team principal changes.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So that team, I read 15 over 15 years. Basically every year, a new one.
Okay, well, that's different.
Yeah.
They've had 3 friggin' name changes in that time.
So, why wouldn't you go to like a Horner who has experience and success. And if you're going to fork out, then you may as well fork out for the best, right?
I think the problem is Lawrence Stroll. I don't think he wants someone to tell him what to do. Like, I think he's probably a big reason that team is not succeeding. Like, yeah, he relinquishes control completely if he hires a Christian Horner. Something tells me Jonathan Wheatley will be a little bit more submissive when more forthcoming and include Lawrence in what should happen, and that's probably a problem for Aston Martin.
I think you're right, because Jonathan, like, you obviously didn't watch it, but he was very open and honest about how he approaches managing a team and drivers.
He struck me as a cuck.
Yeah, he takes a soft touch, a soft-handed, soft love type approach. You kind of almost think that that's what Lance Stroll needs. You almost think that he needs to be babied, he needs to be nurtured. Maybe, yeah. He needs someone who's going to, like, not put him in his place or tell him off. And I'm not sure if previous principals have done that. But someone who will be like, that's okay, Lance. We all make mistakes, you know. Sometimes you do on the formation lap, park it in a sand trap. That's okay. Rub it off, wash it off.
Yeah.
We go again next week, you know, and, like, helping build his confidence back up piece by piece.
So you're saying Lance or Lawrence? Who needs
Lance, the driver. Because, like, the only reason they're in the sport is, and funneling so much money is to try and make this guy a world champion, try and make him a successful Formula One driver, and they just have not been able to do that. They're pushing stupid amounts of money into the car. They're paying off all sorts of people to attract them to this team, you know. So then we know that Alonso has had Stroll's nut ticket every single race, pretty much, since he's been there. And this is a guy who he's like, 15 years older than Lance? You know, he shouldn't be as sharp and as precise and as fast and, you know, as skilled as, you know, another professional Formula One driver, more so.
Should be in his prime.
Yeah, who should be in his prime, and who's quite a few years younger.
Very lackadaisical prime.
Yeah.
The thing is, so we know who owned Red Bull Racing. Matezic.
Mm-hmm.
Never really saw him, never really heard of him. Ferrari's owned by business, Mercedes owned by business, Audi's owned by business. You know, tell me who owns what. You can't name any other team owners besides Lawrence.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another team. Who owns Williams?
Like,
it's not Flavio anymore.
Does Flavio? He owns Alpine,
I don't think he owns Alpine. I don't. But again, who owns Alpine?
Well, actually, no. I know.
Probably Renault.
I know they have Deadpool money. They've got that. They've got him.
They've got a consortium of people. Yeah. But again, you don't. Ryan Reynolds isn't at the track telling people what to do. And this is the thing: you have the team owners, the people who funnel money into the team, the figurehead of the team. But then you have team managers. We don't see any team owners like we see Lawrence. We never see team owners. Lawrence has too much input.
Yeah, but don't forget his son's on the grid, right? So it's part there as I'm sure,
we saw Oscar's
role.
dad for the first time ever, friggin' in Melbourne.
Yeah, but Oscar's dad isn't a team owner.
No.
He's a dad.
Correct. So is Lawrence.
Yeah, but he's a team owner, so he's got dual purpose for being there, right?
Yeah, boo-hoo. I just think he's got the fact that they can be there, obviously, but he clearly has too much input. No other team owners are there. Like you as a team owner hire a team manager for a reason, to manage the team. You give them the reins. I don't know what the team owners to do from there, but they shouldn't have that type of input. Team owners don't necessarily know a thing about Formula One, and that goes for all sports. The team owner doesn't necessarily know a thing about sports. You know, same with NBA. Those team owners, they have the team managers. Well, I can't even think what the terminologies for them are called. Mm-hmm. But the same thing. They don't necessarily know anything about the sport. They hire people who know everything about the sport to make the decisions. And that's what Lawrence, I feel like he must be having too much input. He needs to hire someone who knows everything that they need to know about the sport to run the team successfully. And he needs to just step away.
Okay, so then the other side of it is the Newey side of it. So do you think that was the right call? I mean, obviously it seems kind of like a no-brainer, but that car needs some major attention. But so again, putting him back into this role of like, just focus on the car.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a quick turnaround? Are they going to? No. Is this going to be the ticket that gets Aston Martin into the top 3 or top 2 teams?
No. So they said themselves they weren't contenders this year. This was the plan was for next year. They didn't expect to be so bad.
I feel like they said that last year. This year's a write-off. It's all about next year.
Yeah. I think they thought they were going to be okay, but really focused for 27. I don't think they were going to be this bad. And if you ask them, they very much think it's a Honda problem, which again has nothing to do with Adrian Newey. But I can't think of one other time where the head designer of the car, where your sole purpose is to design this thing, spend all your time with it, look at it, study the other cars on the grid, see what they're doing, what theirs working, how you can implement to your car, but then also manage the day-to-day running of the team and manage the people. Like that doesn't compute. Why would you take, the car is the reason you're there. The car's the moneymaker. Why are you taking time away from the person who's meant to be designing this thing?
Yeah.
Like that I didn't even know that was the case until they said he quit for the role or whatever. But just why was that ever... And this is why my initial theory comes into it. This was a stopgap. Get him in, because why hire someone externally just to sack him when you're going to bring in Jonathan?
Yeah.
And it's not a good look if you have Lawrence as a team manager when the guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
So as of recording this, Jonathan Wheatley hasn't officially been named as the new team principal.
Breaking news.
No. So it'll be interesting to see if that does happen. That's obviously step 1 of your theory.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, because I guess like...
I swear you started this off saying this is what's happened.
Well, this is what's been widely reported, and like these things usually come true. But it would be kind of funny. I was thinking about it today. If this happened, where Aston Martin were like, "All right, we need a team principal to actually run this team and let Newey be Newey. All right, make some phone calls, take some meetings, blah blah blah. Oh, Jonathan Wheatley, want to have a chat? Yeah, sure." And Audi get wind of that and go, "Okay." We thought you were invested in our project. Yeah. Clearly, you're not.
Yeah.
You're shopping around. You're having other chats. You know what? We don't need that. See you later. That would be hilarious. That would be so funny. Because it just seems like the timing is super weird. We've literally had 2 rounds into the new season, and then this has come out of the blue. No one saw this coming.
No.
So you're either onto something, and we may find out. We may not find out. There could be this element of, I almost like Audi being like, oh, what, we're not good enough for you all of a sudden? Like,
and they probably will be.
Yeah.
They've got a pretty big ego on them.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, they've already had, like you said, they've had more success than Aston Martin so far. And they're essentially the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
I know that they were Sauber, but, I'm sure there's a whole heap of new personnel involved in this team who are trying to figure out Formula One for the first time, and they're doing a great job of it. And they don't have a 2-time world champion in one of their cars.
Not even close.
So it's very strange timing for this to happen.
They don't even have a 2 times podium sitter in one of their cars.
No, that's right. I think I messaged you that Newey got the Lawson treatment. Have
2 rounds and then
2 rounds and then sorry, this ain't working.
Newey is known as the best designer Formula 1 has ever seen. He's not known for being a bloody race team manager. So stick to your lane. Stick in your lane.
Okay, let's continue on. So the next thing I had noted down was Juan Pablo Montoya. Now, how many world champions has this guy won?
How many world champions? 0. In Formula 1.
Okay. So he came out into the media and he had some pretty stern words about Verstappen and Norris in particular. So I'll read him out to you. Him. Well, partly. So this is what he had to say. At some point, Formula 1 needs to do what the sports world in the United States does. For people who don't respect the sport, there's the door. They can leave or get a fine, so they truly learn to respect what they're doing. That's what I would do. Pretty big words for somebody who is a nobody, essentially. I mean, he's not a nobody, but he's won 7 Grand Prix. But clearly, he's taking the side of Formula 1 and these new regs and trying to push all this positivity of like, no, this is actually good. And they're just not winning. And so they're having a sook and they're crying about it. And so if you're going to do that, get the hell out. But I think anyone who's watched Formula 1 for more than 5 minutes, we can all see what's going on. You can push any narrative that you want. You can try and, paint it whatever color you want.
Yeah.
What's the saying? You can't don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining. That's what it kind of feels like. It's this whole thing of like we can see what these engines are. We can see what the categories become. You've got more than one very outspoken drivers. And their distaste and their dislike for it. And now you're saying that they can't have an opinion against the sport.
I mean, two things. One, I don't remember the last time I've heard from that guy. For starters,
he occasionally does F1 commentary, and it's usually in like the weekend warm up.
So he's around.
He's around.
Interesting. And two, I don't understand the United States reference because NASCAR very publicly had a year-long court case last year where two teams were pretty bitterly speaking out against NASCAR. And you know what happened? That team's won 4 out of 6 races this year.
Well, assuming that he's referencing motorsport specifically
in America, which is NASCAR,
but
IndyCar.
But he did just say United States sports in general. So I don't know what sports he's referencing.
I don't understand. Like Formula 1 aren't. It's the same for all sports. No governing body wants their players, drivers, teams speaking out against them. Obviously, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? That makes sense. But I really don't understand why he's referencing the United States. I feel like, if anything, I don't know. They might be one of the worst for that sort of thing happening. And
I mentioned it last week. NASCAR are in the business of fan service.
Yeah.
They constantly seem to listen to the fans, evaluate the sport, and make changes, and they're not scared to. But it's in service of what the fans want, and to make it more entertaining.
Yeah.
Now, Formula One arguably have heard these outcries of like, there's no overtaking in Formula One anymore. This sucks. All the cars, it's a qualifying championship.
Yeah.
And they've almost overcorrected.
Well, if anything, like you just said about pissing on people's backs and whatever you do on your weekends, they almost have used that against us. Like I said last week, manufacturers, they run the sport and all the rest of it. They've had their cake and eaten it too. They've gone, okay, how can we appease all these manufacturers, and you can all make engines that are relatable for the road, and you can make your money and we can make our money, and how can we do it in a way that the fans think they get what they asked for? So you just make these engines and then make them in a way where we can have this gamut overtaking. That way, when fans say, we want it overtaking, well, here you go. Here's your overtaking. So they're making it seem like they've done something for the fans, whilst they're also taking what they wanted from the manufacturers, and everyone gets to make plenty of money, and we all get to rock up, and how dare we speak out against them because this is what we asked for.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for, is what they're saying.
Yeah. I don't like that he's targeted two people, and we'll let it slide for the moment, Lando Norris being a world champion, but he's targeted 2 world champions and basically said, your opinion doesn't matter. If you don't like it, shut the hell up or leave. Like, can you imagine any sport telling, like, the top people in that sport? Can you imagine NFL telling Tom Brady, like, sorry, Tom, we know you're the best to ever do it.
No opinions, get out of here.
But get the fuck out of here.
But especially
or Michael Jordan, like, oh, sorry, we changed basketball in a way that you don't like it.
Yeah.
Get out and go play netball, Like, it doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah. But also just coming from Juan. Like, I don't even think of him as a Formula 1 driver, to be honest. I feel like I've seen him more in NASCAR and IndyCar.
Yeah.
He's had more success over there.
Yeah.
He had a pretty short tenure in Formula 1. So, like, I don't even necessarily think... So, you got to wonder, they're probably looking at him like, Juan who? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, 5 world champions here, 5 world championships here.
Well,
between us.
Again, probably, I guess, to further your point as well, like, he's from a different era. Most people watching the sport now wouldn't know who he is or where he's come from or what he's done.
It's not even like if it came from Nico Rosberg. You see him every week on the thing. He's a world champion.
No.
Rah, rah, rah. There's a bit more weight behind it.
But I think the other side of it, where I was going to go with this as well, is we already have that category. It's called Formula E. It's been around for many years and nobody gives a shit. There's a reason why no one gives a shit. So why are we pushing the sport further into this direction?
You wouldn't call Formula E motorsport because it's lacking the motor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we've already seen this and people don't care for it. And now you're trying to it's like it's like they've tried to repaint it and resell it to us as something else. But it's like, well, hang on. They're not different. They're the same thing. Yeah. The same strategies, the same problems, the same theories, the same push to overtake bullshit applies. Battery championships.
You got to wonder: are they lost? Do they not know what to do? Because if they went fine, we get rid of having the ability to save battery or the necessity to save battery, and then you run back into the problem that the cars can't overtake. But then they don't want to take air off because then the cars come a little bit more dangerous. So it's like they're just, what can we do?
The sport is 75 years old. They have so much they can pull from. They have so many.
You can't go backwards.
You can't go backwards, no, but you can learn from what worked, right? Look at 2021. Why was that so entertaining? Try and make the sport like that again. Make the cars smaller. Make the tracks bigger. Whatever you got to do. I think Suzuka is going to be a very interesting round because Suzuka last year was probably one of the dullest races.
I think it was.
And it is a vintage F1 track. And there is a call...
And there's been some fantastic racing there in the past.
There has. And there is almost this perception, much like Monaco, does this still belong on the modern F1 calendar? And if not, that's where you make your change. It would suck to lose Suzuka, but rebuild it. Rebuild it for the new generation of car to create exciting racing. Stop trying to shoehorn these boats on these tracks that were designed for a different era of the sport. It's not going to work. So I think this is why the cars have gotten tiny bit smaller.
They've gotten smaller.
So I think this will be interesting is, okay, big changes in the car, big changes in the engine. Does a track like this, and like Monaco, I don't expect any sort of major changes, but does a track like this still deserve to be on the grid now? And if they're insistent on, okay, no, we've got to have Suzuka. Like Suzuka's an OG track. Great. Make the cars so they can race on tracks like Suzuka.
Yeah.
So there's so much history and so much they can pull from to make the new era or the next era better and an evolution, not a de-evolution. And that's kind of feels like what's happened.
Yeah.
We've lost too much of the Formula One DNA that's becoming something else. And sure, some people are interested in it, but those are the ones, the casual fans, that are probably just reading headlines and watching Netflix, and they're not going to stay up to 2 a.m. to watch a race, like us.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we're the better fans and you should cater for us. I'm saying you need to find a balance between moving from the old world to the new world.
And that's the thing. They're looking at all the fans. The spike in popularity of Formula One is very linear with Drive to Survive. And they'll be aware of that. So naturally, they want to keep that fan base. And this is what we had a comment on one of our shorts or videos, or maybe it was the main video last week, of someone basically saying that is they're catering for the new fans, but like advocating that. But Formula One need to remember, like I said, 75 years old. There's people around still who would have seen that very first race and have gone through watching 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It's only the last 15 years they've started to alienate actual motorsport fans.
Well, it's kind of like what happens with bands. If you start catering to the new fan, you lose the old fans. But how long are those new fans going to stay around for?
Yeah.
Are they going to get bored?
They've got short attention spans. I'll move to the next one as well.
Yeah.
I'm not even 30 yet, and I've gone from the very end of the peak of Formula One, or not even the peak, but when Formula One, when the racing was good and pure, if you will. Just rock up and race. Race what you got. Nothing special. No gimmicks. It was DRS. That's it. In 2011, 2012. To where we are now, it's such a short period of time, and it's so completely different from anything we've seen in the past.
No, I mean, I guess to build on that and even say what I was going on before, if their whole big idea was, all right, we know how to make it entertaining, battery dominant or equal powered vehicles, and then boost buttons for overtakes. So there's no skill in the driver side of it now. It's like, how did we land there before the pinnacle of motorsport reintroduced fueling? So many other categories still have fueling. You're telling me that the pinnacle of motorsport can't figure out a safe way for fueling? What about tyres? Why can't you have more selection in tyres or run different types of tyres to make that a part of racing and strategy. That's just nullified. So how have those two things slipped by the wayside, and we've gotten this before that? There's so many other things that we could, I get the whole thing that not everybody makes V10 engines or V12 engines, but again, this is the pinnacle of motorsport. You're telling me that out of the 4 manufacturers, or however many there is now, that they can't develop a V8 engine or a V10 engine specifically just for Formula One?
I think the problem is, not only does it not benefit them, I don't think they would want to. And that's the problem. Like, you look at so many motorsports, all motorsport nowadays, everyone's worried about money and cost caps, and pretty much all motorsports now run with some form of crate engine. Teams don't generally get to build their own engines and do it how they will, and they just go. Let's talk about GT3. Those engines and those cars are what they have in the road. They just beef them up a little. Fiat Supercars here in Australia, it's crate engines from America. NASCAR, they crate engines. Like, they're all slightly modified, but they're just factory engines that they put into the car. Formula One is obviously, the engines nothing like you've ever seen before. They're incredibly bespoke. So the thing is, if you said to Formula One teams, all right, scrap all that, you're spending probably millions and millions, hundreds of millions on R&D on these engines and all the rest of it. We'll save you heaps of money. We'll get rid of that. And so you don't have to build a dinosaur engine that shows no relevance to your market. You all get these V10s that are created by...
I'm all for that.
By BMW.
The sport's not far from that.
But they won't do it. None of the teams would say yes, because they'd be like, well, what's the point in me rocking up every week to do this? And that's the problem.
But we're almost there anyway, because you've got McLaren's running Mercedes. You've got Haas is running Ferraris. You already have this weird cross-contamination.
I'd be more than happy if they said, all right, BMW's on the spot right now. BMW, can you just make a good, solid V10? Everyone just gets this V10. You don't do anything with it.
No.
But this will drastically lower your costs. You don't have to worry about it. You just get to just rock up and race and just have the entertainment bonus. Don't worry about how it affects your road going side. Don't worry about having to have this team of people that are wasted because they're not developing things that they're going to be able to use from their roadside. So you literally now get to rock up and race.
Yeah, and it's all about chassis design.
Yeah.
It's all about aero.
Mercedes and Ferrari wouldn't do it. I honestly think
then
they'd be like, this doesn't benefit our sole purpose, which is being a road car builder.
Yeah, so, but again, like, I guess that's the thing of like, okay, then there's no space for you in Formula One anymore.
But then there'd be no Formula One.
Or
this is the water that they're treading.
Well, or the other thing you could potentially do is do what V8 supercars do. You have 2 suppliers, split it down the middle, and it's basically a rivalry between those 2 suppliers. Why couldn't you we basically almost have a grid of Ferrari versus Mercedes. We're almost there anyway. Make that official. And then that is, you just have these 2 engines. You pick which one you want to run if you're a lower team or whatever, or whoever you're affiliated with. And the engines are equal or to a degree. And then again, there's a lot more focus on strategy and aero and body work and whatever. So
I think these are all ideas
that I'm like, how did these not be implemented into the pinnacle of motorsport before this piece of shit 50% battery bullshit lift and coast stuff that we're watching?
Because unfortunately, the sport is built on the biggest manufacturers in the world. And they see it as, they don't just see it as let's go racing anymore. They see it as, how can this benefit our road going business?
Assuming that's right.
It's Mercedes. Because there's the Mercedes that are building the road cars and selling them to the dealerships. That's the same Mercedes that owns the team.
Yeah, but that's the same Mercedes that are in GT3 running these
because it
ballsy
costs,
AMG.
well, it's actually not really. Everyone in GT3 is customer. That's what GT3 is. It's customer-based racing. So Mercedes have these Mercedes AMG, whatever they are. That's a modified road car with a modified road engine, and then they supply it to the team. So that's what GT3 is, which is why Mercedes, Ferrari, all the teams that are in GT3, the manufacturers, they don't care. They're just like, here, have a car. They're making money. That's why I'm saying it's a rich guy sport. Because rich guys rock up, they go buy a Mercedes.
Same theory into Formula One.
You could, but that's what I'm saying. They won't. It's Ferrari at Maranello who sell the that was owned by Enzo that make and sell the road cars that own that Formula One team. Like, this is why it's the top motorsport, because it's a direct line to the manufacturer. You know, Mercedes, Audi now, Ferrari, even McLaren, like, they're the guys that run the real world supercars, the supercars in the real world. If it doesn't work for them, if they lose any money, if it's not benefiting their roadside, who cares about Formula One in their eyes?
All right, let's move on, because we're quickly approaching the hour mark. So I've got 2 more things noted from the week. So I'll give you the option of which one you want to talk about more. Okay. So your first one is Toto Wolff / Mercedes buying into Alpine. We kind of already touched a little bit on it, I guess. But
I don't understand how that works.
Well, I've heard conflicting things of it being conflict. Mercedes that are interested in buying Alpine, and then whether that's going to be like a Red Bull Racing Bull type situation, or whether it was Toto Wolff buying into Alpine, and and that was the thing that he was only doing it to block Christian Horner from coming back into Formula One. So
it's an expensive grudge.
Yeah, well,
big boys playing with big money.
One I almost wouldn't be surprised to hear.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Or the other one is George Russell wanting to tweak the race start rules, and Fred Vasseur clapping back at him, saying enough is enough of this.
Yeah, no surprise. I mean, we've seen the one weakness Mercedes has is off the line.
So which one are we choosing?
Well, that second one.
All right, okay.
The one weakness Mercedes has is off the line, and that's also the one benefit that Ferrari have. So no surprise there.
It's the one hope that we have as fans as well, of seeing any kind of interaction.
Fred said, enough is enough. It's like, what do you want, man? You've got 95% of the race covered. You're faster over the long run. You have all the speed in the world to race us. Like, yeah, we can get capable of racing you for a little bit, but as soon as you're ahead, you're gone.
Yeah.
And you now want to tweak the rules, which, by the way, they're already slightly skewed for your engine. You now want to have them tweaked to benefit your race start. Do you hear Max, by the way, complaining about it? I mean, he should be, but he's ended up dead last. Doesn't matter where he starts. Every single
all 3 race
we've had this year.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear about George going from first to third.
It's classic George stuff, isn't it?
Oh.
And it's
and they'll do it.
It's like Mercedes wanting to have their cake and eat it too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, the Ferraris are quicker off the line because they have a smaller turbo.
Exactly. Less turbo lag.
Yeah. So
then that's why they should be slower in the straights.
But then, which they clearly are. But then this seems to go against everything that, again, Mercedes stand for. It's, here are the regulations, develop it to your suits and needs.
Yeah.
And Ferrari have developed their car with a smaller turbo. The benefit is better race starts.
Yeah.
Now that hasn't paid off once to
long run.
Yeah. To equal race wins.
Interesting. Monaco, almost a guaranteed win. Because not only they're better off the starts, small turbo. You're also
it would be so petty of Ferrari to just be like, that's all we care about. We win Monaco. Yeah. We've built a car to win Monaco, and we don't give a fuck about anything else.
I mean, they're definitely sacrificing Monza with their little turbo.
Yeah.
But that's exactly it. Yeah, and you're playing this fine-tuned game of, and I don't know how it works, whether that's something they can change mid-season. Can they upscale it a little? I mean, I don't know how size difference they're talking, really. I'd love to know. Can they change it race to race, or can they mid-season make a shift? And because I don't see why they can't. I don't know what the regs say, but like whether you give the FIA an engine for approval and that's what you're stuck with, I'm not sure. But that's the game you play, is where you want to find your gains. And Formula 1 have a lot of long, fast straights.
That's not a bad call, eh? Put a cheeky bet down right now for like Lewis Hamilton, Monaco win. It's not a bad
ball ring track, even Austria. It's got the long straight, but it's got a lot of slow corners. So you look at all the little boring type tracks.
Yeah.
And Ferrari is where you're looking better. I mean, the 2 tracks we've had so far definitely
potentially Suzuka.
Potentially Suzuka. There's the one long straight, but even through that first sector, you're going to find them probably fastest through sector 1 and 2. And then Mercedes, the third sector's a bunch of straights. So probably a little bit more favourable to Ferrari. So, yeah, we'll see how they go. But Ferrari built their engine and Mercedes built their engine. They both built their engines and what they wanted with the same rulebook. So to now go, this really doesn't really suit us with the starts. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, you could have put in a small diameter turbo as well, and you could have had the same instant performance that Ferrari are getting, but then you'd also have the same what you sacrifice on the back end.
To me, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth in the sense of like this season feels like it was set up for Mercedes to return back to their dominance. And, you know, it's probably going to be a George Russell championship. So yet another British driver having success.
Yeah.
And then you hear this and you're like, I mean, it's already like, it's so easy for you to win. And you want Formula One to go, yeah, no problems. Let's change that and make it even easier again.
And they'll do it.
Which is just going to make the quality of racing even worse again.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you want to sit here and hang shit on drivers who are talking against the sport and the regulations, yet you got a driver who's literally, or a team that has literally dominated everything so far in the 2 rounds in the sprint that we've seen.
Yeah.
Still complaining of like the starts aren't fair.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna shut that shit down.
Yeah.
Like
the entire world knows what's going on with their engine and the loophole and good on them for finding a loophole. But then why are the FIA allowing it? The FIA in the past have been very quick.
They looked at it and they went, you know what, that's all good.
The FIA have been very. If the truth's what we've heard, and we're not going to always hear everything, is that they test the bore of the piston of the cylinder cold, not hot, and then when it expands, it gets a little bigger and you get a little more power. But therefore, I've been very quick in the past to, okay, that was legal, yep, but it's now illegal. So why?
I was surprised that they cleared it.
Yeah.
And they knew about it pre-season. It wasn't like they had even raced and benefited from it. They could have shut it down before it was even a
And if they go,
topic of
you've
discussion.
already made all these, you're going to have to make new pistons, you're going to have to make new...
Just remember, last year, McLaren weren't allowed to have that little bit of flex in their rear wing.
Yeah.
No, that is illegal. Get that shit off the car by next round.
Exactly.
Yet this is all good.
Yeah.
All
and
good.
is it because, it's such a big deal to make that change? But you know the rules, or you found a loophole that is barely a loophole. I mean, to be fair, like you pretty clearly knew you're breaking the rules. You just you found a hole in the way they scrutinise, which is all good and fine. But then the FIA should be sealing that up, sealing that hole up.
Either that, or you have to assume that the teams like McLaren, they'll have April now to implement that same benefit.
But then again, like same with the Ferrari and the turbos, I don't know if mid-year teams have the freedom to overhaul their power units like this, or whether it's a case of whatever you submit pre-season is what you are locked in with. Yeah. I'm not sure.
If that is the case, that is a great shame, but I guess we'll see. Okay, so before we wrap it up real quick, you want to take a stab at who you think will be successful in Suzuka? I'm sure it's going to be quite...
let me say Daniel Ricciardo. Dreams. I'll just go George.
Yeah.
As much as I like to think Ferrari will put up a fight, and I think they will, it's just, I think they're a little bit too far behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently, what did I read? I read somewhere, I think it's this, maybe it's the rear wing. They really think that's their... Once they perfect that.
Well, I guess if you think about the small turbo gives him the edge on the starts and potentially in the corners, and the wing might be able to turn the balance for their straight line speed, right? Because they can open that sucker up. And then, find a little bit more horsepower or...
Straight line performance,
Yeah. On those straights, that might equal the battle. Maybe that's what Mercedes are scared of. Maybe they're scared of once that wing comes in, once they figure out all of the intricacies of it, are they going to be unstoppable? So
I mean,
maybe
that's our golden hope is Ferrari perfecting this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, is this their golden ticket? If they're like, we need to nail this, we need to make sure it's legal so it doesn't immediately get banned, and we need to make sure it works so we don't DNF and give away 15 points.
Yeah.
Like what
DNF or DNS.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're in a hole. Like, are they just like, let's just manage, keep within touching distance, debut this thing now after May.
That would be a masterstroke.
It would be.
Yeah. Especially that Fred Vasseur, like, I feel like you don't hear a lot from him. And to a point where you're almost like, does he even do anything in Ferrari? But, if he's like overseeing this whole situation of like, you're right, let's manage the start. Yeah. Let's just make sure we're collecting points. We're staying in the fight. And then this big upgrade is going to come through. And when it does, that's going to give us the edge. And then we go on a run. Man,
and then all of a sudden you're good. And you've just, all you got to do is time the release of this thing.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for what happened in F1 this week. That's the off-the-cuff title. We're going to be live streaming Japan.
Oh, I can't wait.
I actually can't wait as well.
I've been enjoying
that. Have been fun. So if you're still with us here, now, 4 o'clock Australian time on the East Coast.
It might be...
Is the race.
I was going to say, are we out of daylight savings by then?
No, not quite. So... Yeah, 4 o'clock local time is the race starts, so we'll be live from about 3:30. We'll get on about half an hour before the race.
Watch Oscar crash or not, whatever happens before the
hopefully
Grand Prix.
Get to witness an actual Piastri Grand Prix lap. But yeah, if you're keen, jump on, have a chat, flick us a message. We will reply to everything. We had a lot of fun last time. We look forward to doing it again.
Cool.
All right.
See you next week.
See you on Sunday.
All right.
Race day. GG's.
Can't wait. See you there.
Bye.